to work they go, shiny new tractors, road graders, power units, harvesters, balers, and other implements. On jobs all over the workaday world, they'll turn in smooth, effective performances. Their efficiency and rugged dependability are already assured. They don't merely come off the drawing board through the factory and out into the field. They've been designed and built by engineering specialists who know what will be expected of these machines and the quality of material needed for every part. Designing and building the machine is merely the beginning. It's got to be good. To be doubly sure it is, new and experimental machines are tested in laboratories and tortured on the proving grounds, sometimes almost beyond reason. Tear them apart, break them down, test the parts and accessories, find the weaknesses, punish them till they fail, then improve them and beat them some more, on, until the machines prove beyond a shadow of a doubt that they can take it. All this before any new model goes into production. These huge proving grounds are like three-ring circuses. Dozens of different jobs go on at the same time. Hold on to her, Newt. Don't let her throw you, but give her the gun and see what the frame and axles will take. This is the Model D motor grader. The way it rides these bumps and jolts proves it will be able to take the roughest roads in stride. Ram another grader through heavy brush and sod. Try to wrench it out of line or break it. Jam a bulldozer's blade into a high bank and open the throttle. Give the steering clutches the works. Abuse them, overwork them for hours at a time, all for the sake of improvement. Burn up master clutches, too, with the same kind of continuous punishment. Overload them and slip them. Overload them and slip them again and again. They've got to be good. Hitch up a 20-ton monster and try to tear its heart out with a maximum drawbar test over a measured course. A hydraulic cylinder between the test tractor and the load transmits the pounds of pull to a recording gauge. An electric tachometer tells the operator the exact engine RPMs at all times. He'll make the great crawler perform to the utmost limit of its ability. Loose soil is removed from the trial course in order to hold track slippage to a minimum. Take a steel giant like this and bounce it over railroad ties until they wear out. Then get new ties and start all over again. That's how to test the track oscillation and the wear on the pins and bushings that hold the A-frame square. It's also a dandy check on air cleaners as it bounces the oil around in the cleaner. Make them wallow in dust till they wear out if possible. Track pins and bushings that always work in mud and dust are worked much harder in this track pin testing machine. Each pin and bushing is loaded and worked under 6,000 pounds pressure. The pins are oscillated at about 200 cycles per minute to a distance of 12%, and the pressure never lets up. The big idea is to wear them out. That's the way to find out how good they are, and they've got to be good. Try to grind them up if it can be done. Overload the track and truck rollers, submerge them in a fine cutting abrasive. Work them like this for 1,000 hours. Then inspect the condition of the seals and the pins and bearings. This kind of testing goes on continuously, even after the parts are passed for production. The program of constant betterment never stops. Air cleaners and filters are thoroughly tested in many different laboratories, but they get their final tests in the worst kinds of field conditions. Make them eat dust till they choke if possible. This is an acid test for tracks, truck rollers, and oil seals, too. Drive tandem wheel graders over all kinds of ditches and gullies. Twist them, load them. Test the gear cases, transmission final drives, frames, in fact, the whole machine. It's got to be good. In mud and dust, snow and ice, rain and sun, the work of wearing them out goes on. Testing and proving continues day and night throughout the 4 seasons. Tons of extra wheel weights are put on this tractor to see how much excess load it can stand. It's all part of the proving program. The final machine for production has got to be good. Force it to try to do the impossible. No one would think of working a wheel tractor in mud and goo like this but it's a dandy way to test the wheel bearings, steering mechanism, cooling system, in fact, the whole tractor. Ride 'em, cowboy, bounce 'em over the bumps for hours. Establish the best position for the seat in relation to the wheels or tracks. Learn whether the seat should have steel springs, hydraulic cushions, or rubber, or a combination of all three, to take the rough ride out of field work and achieve the utmost operator comfort. Test even the simple things like fuel tank supports for thousands of hours. This device jerks and twists them far more than actual field service ever will. The radiator and sheet metal in the cowl are also included in the test. All types of hydraulic pumps and rams are tested under extra heavy pressure. They must prove their worth here before they are tried out on a tractor. The hundreds of pounds of weights on this machine load the hydraulic pump to its maximum lifting ability. Thus, lift arms and supporting parts, as well as rams and hoses, are worked to the limit with this unit. Thousands of hours of exhaustive testing weed out the undesirables and tell the story of the ones finally selected. Power takeoff drives are tested with this adjustable fan so that all the power of the engine can be utilized. With wide open throttle, gears, bearings, housings, and couplings get a thorough and complete test. Jolt 'em and jar 'em, wrench 'em and twist 'em, jam 'em against heavy concrete blocks bedded in the ground. Proving fields where plows, discs, and tillage equipment are tested have rocks, clay, sand, gravel, mud, and other field conditions built in. This three-bottom pickup plow is getting a breakdown test to see what part will give in first. So far, so good. Still all together like the Deacon's one-horse shay. Both field and row crop cultivators get the same brutal abuse in sand, clay, gravel, and rocks, and finally over the concrete blocks. The rugged shovels on a corn cultivator take a roughhouse beating and come back for more. A field cultivator gets more of the same. Don't baby it, full speed ahead, twist it, spring it, or break it. Before it can get the go sign, it's got to be good. Disc harrows, disc plows, and disc cultivators get the works too. Certainly no one would ever intentionally abuse them like this in the field, but it's a sure way to find out how much they can take. This device records many operations at once. A motion picture camera is mounted across from the gauge panel. Depth of plowing or other work is shown on one gauge, drawbar pull, engine RPM, hydraulic pressure, and intake vacuum on other gauges. The camera takes a continuous motion picture of all the dials at each change in load. The gauge readings tell the complete work story. Obstacles cause tremendous pressures not only on the plow or tool, but on the tractor and controls as well. They all show up on the film. Some testing and proving obviously must be done outside of the laboratories and the proving grounds. For example, cotton must be picked where cotton grows. This experimental cotton picker mounts two types of picking units. One competes with the other. That's the fair way to test this kind of machinery. It was difficult here, however, to determine which one was best. They both did an excellent job. Either one would satisfy most growers. But there was a difference to the trained eyes of the technicians who watched the machines work. One of the major developments from continuous experimenting and proving has been the making and curing of better hay. Barn curing, baling, and ensiling have all been greatly improved. Harvesters must be tested and proved in the field too, in many different crops. Special glassed-in harvesters reveal the internal workings of the various parts. Here's the cylinder in slow motion, and the straw racks and conveyors. Motion pictures show everything, even though it happens fast. This glassed-in experimental machine permits an overall study of threshing, separating, conveying, and cleaning units that would be hard to see in any other way. Wagon unloaders that come as attachments to forage blowers handled thousands of tons of ensilage under all kinds of conditions before they were passed for production. There's no end to the devices that are being tested and proved. Countless other checks and trials are being made day and night throughout the year. Many a promising machine never gets past the proving ground. And many others are tested for months and even years before they finally get the green light. And it goes on and on, the same story over and over again. Wear it out, overload it, overwork it, abuse it, punish it, torture it, bump it, bounce it, with only one end in view: to turn out a finished machine that will stand up, that will give unfailing service, that will be tops in its field. The owner or operator of a production machine knows that after all this testing, it's got to be good.